Hey guys, Bushcraft412 here. Today we're going to talk about preserving eggs. Typically we don't, as preppers, look into preserving eggs because they're a refrigerator food. Typically in America, eggs are put in a refrigerator and they have a best by date of usually like 1 month, and they're not considered something we keep long term. And as preppers, we're always making sure that the foods we stock up on are something that will last a long time and be good, even if there is a power outage or any kind of an emergency. So we typically tend to overlook eggs. And eggs are a great nutritional product. They have a ton of protein, fat, cholesterol. They're just nutritionally very good, and they taste great, especially when you're a prepper and you're stocking up on tons of beans and rice and things that are very bland. It's nice to have something like eggs as well to supplement, something with a good, nice flavor to it. Now, the easiest way to store eggs long term, of course, is to pickle them. And we're not going to go over the exact recipe for this, guys, and I'm just going to put it out here real quick. Do your homework before you pickle eggs. You can give yourself botulism, you can get food poisoning, you can get really, really sick from pickling eggs if you don't do it right and you're not careful. So don't just run off, half-cocked and do this. Take your time, do your research, and make sure you're doing it properly before you do it. But it's very simple, and I'm just going to give you like a real quick brief overview on how it's done. Real simple. Went and got some organic medium-sized eggs, and we hard-boiled them. And we peeled them and washed them and made extra sure that the eggs were not breached, that there was no cracks in the outer surface, no rips, no tears, anything like that. Any of the eggs that were damaged in the peeling, we just put in the fridge and they'll be eaten throughout the week. So the ones that weren't damaged, that came out perfect, we put them in a sterilized 1-quart canning jar, which you can pick up at Walmart for, they're like $10 for a dozen. And we sterilize the jar and the lid and all that. And then I set up a boiling brine of apple cider vinegar, sugar, and salt, pickling salt, and put the eggs inside the sterilized jar. I added some garlic, some onion, a little bit of dill, some seasonings. I think there's even a pepper slice in there, or one or two pepper slices for heat. And then we dumped the boiling brine on top of the eggs, up to the top, left only about 1/4 inch of headspace in the jar. Now, from there you have two options. You can let it cool and put it in the fridge, and those will stay stable for 3-4 months, maybe even more. I've heard of people eating pickled eggs in the fridge up to a year. So how long you want to eat them, up to you, and how much you value your health. But for me, 3 to 4 months is about as far as I'm willing to push it. Option 2, of course, is to make them shelf stable so that you can keep them in your pantry for a year, possibly even 2 years. All you have to do to make them shelf stable from this point is to seal up the jar, put the lid on, put the ring on, and basically put the jar into a large stock pot with water completely covering it and boil it for 10 to 15 minutes. That heats the vinegar, the brine, in the eggs up to about 180 degrees, and that's enough to pasteurize and sterilize everything that's inside, which hopefully, if you did everything right, the jar should be sterilized, the brine should be sterilized, the eggs should be clean, hopefully you're washing your hands and doing all that, but just to get rid of any possible germs just from the process, you do the canning bath. You take them out, set them on the counter, let them cool overnight, and you hear the ping as they seal, and you've got a shelf-stable pickle that is probably good for 1 to 2 years. And I'm sure, I'm sure people will comment, and I'm sure there's people who have eaten pickled eggs far beyond out past 2 years old. Once again, though, how long you want to keep them in storage and eat them is up to you and how much you value your health. Me, I think 1 year, 2 years tops. So I'm going to try these out. This is my test batch. And if I do like the flavor and like the eggs and the way they came out, I'm probably going to buy 5 or 6 dozen more and can up a bunch more and put them in the pantry. And I'll probably put a couple in the fridge. And what I'll do is just rotate the one in the fridge. And then that way, over the course, I could probably go through a dozen hard-boiled eggs in like a month. So if I keep one in the fridge, I could potentially go through 10 jars a year. So I could probably safely have 10 dozen eggs, maybe even a dozen, like 100, basically 140 eggs in my pantry, and safely be able to rotate them before there's any concern of them going bad whatsoever. So, neat way, real simple, real easy. And once again, guys, go get the Ball canning book, do some research online, make sure it's from a reputable source, and make sure you're doing this right, because you can poison yourself, and it can be very dangerous if you don't do it right. So, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Very easy, very simple. Took not even an hour to do this, and if I were doing in more bulk, it would have been way easier. Doing a single thing was kind of a waste of time, because it's a lot of water and stuff to boil for just 12 eggs, but it's a test batch. So hopefully you'll see more of this stuff in the future, guys, and hope you enjoyed.